This is the Horse Radio Network.
Hey, you're listening to Adulting with Horses, the best place to be if you can't be at the barn. We are your co-hosts and equine authors, Heather Wallace and Natalie Keller-Reinert. As crazy horse girls, we don't take ourselves too seriously in the saddle or out. We celebrate the things that make us different. Join us as we talk about horses and pop culture and get a little weird in a fun way. Thank you for being a little weird with us.
Hello. I noticed none of us are wearing pink, which is correct because it is Thursday and we are recording Adulting with Horses with me, Natalie, with you, Heather, and our special guest host, amazing queen bee of the barn, Jessica Burkhart.
That is
You
so
might
kind.
know our wonderful Jessica Burkhart from selling 80 gazillion thousand books.
That's
in
a
her
real number.
Canterwood Crest series. That's a real number. I got that from the publisher. I have contacts. They give me the real numbers. So 80 billion gazillion of these like tales of riding academies and horse shows, and a lot of girls thrust into living together, which can result in some interesting situations.
Drama.
Right?
So we are really excited to talk a lot about barn drama and Mean Girls today. So we figured that Jessica was the perfect. What do you think, Jess? You up for this?
Oh yeah, I am so up for this. This is right up my alley. So I'm excited.
At the very least, we'll give you some inspiration for future plots.
Right?
Yeah, because we obviously talked to the wonderful members of our Facebook group, the Adulting with Horses podcast Clubhouse. It's a long title. And so we've got some Mean Girl stories to share from you. And I'm sure that we have plenty of drama to drum up for our own lives. And I'll start by saying that there's a reason I keep my horses at home at the end of a dirt road with no one else around.
And you still find drama at home, let's be honest.
I mean, most of the drama that I indulge myself in is either sort of reading other people's drama on social media, which I deeply enjoy, or making it up, you know. So I guess I have a deep-rooted need for it, but I try not to feed it with real-life situations.
Well, I don't know
I
about
feel
you
that.
guys, but for me, I like to pretend my life is great and focus on other people's drama, so I don't have to focus on my own problems.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Mhm. Oh yeah, all the time. Like I just love to be like, oh, life is so great and easy, and let me get into the celebrity scandals or other scandals going on in the horse world, because then my life seems even better in comparison.
Absolutely,
That's it.
100% get behind that.
Yep.
I'm following Bravo's Scandival right now pretty religiously.
Oh, I'm obsessed. Ariana was on The View today, and boy, did she had things to say.
Oh, I love her so much.
Me
And I
too.
could totally relate to their relationship and her wanting to feel connected. And then can you believe that Raquel situation where she's grilling Ariana about the relationship and lack of sex?
That just killed me. Today, Ariana said that she should have known what Tom was doing because he started growing that awful, like, porn mustache. And she's like, I just thought he was having a midlife crisis, but no, he was cheating. What the fuck?
And
What?
what's crazy is like this happens in our everyday lives.
Yes.
Well, I like the everyday life stuff. So, like, I will get like multiple months deep into somebody's Twitter timeline if I find out they're a chronic oversharer and they have done some very weird shit. Like, I'm sorry, you're having, some of the things that I've read recently. Why are you putting this on the internet? Like, children with multiple women and trying to figure out how you're going to raise like two sets of twins, one from your ex-wife and one from the woman you started seeing as soon as your ex-wife moved out. But the ex-wife wants to get back together, but you won't do it because you're too good for that. What is happening? You're putting this all out there on the internet, and these people have like it's not like they're celebrities at all. You know, they have a couple hundred followers or whatever, and most of them are bots. That's the stuff I really like. I like the everyday weirdos amongst us. I have no idea who any of the people are that you just mentioned. And I'm okay with that. You don't have to tell me.
And that's
Well, you're
okay.
saving
That's
a lot
okay.
of time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it
That's
is
just
a
it.
deep,
I
dark
don't
rabbit
have
hole.
time for celebrities. It's just not there. I'm so busy. I'm so
Yeah,
busy
but at
on
the end of the
regular
day,
Joes destroying
like
their
Natalie,
lives.
you can't make this stuff up because it's like, sure, we're following that along, but I can't tell you the number of drama situations that have been happening at my own barn.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That is, I was late there on Mother's Day because some of the teenagers sat me down. They were like, Heather, we need to tell you the tea. And I was like, I got ready. I sat on my tack box. I said, give me a bag of chips. Let's go.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I do. I miss that. I do miss that. Like, just fill me in. I don't need to know any of the parties. I don't even have to sort of share my opinions. Just fill me in. I just gotta
You just
soak it
want to
all
hear
up.
the hot goss,
I
as the kids
do.
call it these days, the goss.
Oh,
yep.
see, this is why I can't. People are like, Natalie, why don't you write anything for teenagers? Like, because I don't understand the youth. I don't know what they're saying. I don't hear them speaking. Like, Heather, you talk to teenagers on the regular,
On the
so you know what
regular,
they're
and I have them
saying.
in my house.
Right.
So sometimes they have to translate
Yeah.
what words mean and how they're used. And if I try to copy them, then they shut me down and tell me I'm embarrassing. So
Yeah,
um,
girls are like that.
that's where
Like
I'm
my
at.
son and I have always had a really like strong texting relationship. And so he'll use something and then I'll just like Google it to make sure I know what he meant. Make sure he's not insulting me.
That
But
would
yeah,
be me too. Yeah, I feel like because I write for primarily kids 8 to 13, I have to stay on top of that kind of stuff,
yeah.
like more than I would care to, but I need to like know. And I'm on like Urban Dictionary all the time trying to figure out what does cheugy mean? What does this
Oh,
mean?
I saw
I don't.
Shooty yesterday.
Well, and no, but that brings me to a good question, Jess, is exactly where are you hearing these things, right?
Hmm.
Like, do you have the kids that age in your life, or are you just out and about trying to pick up this stuff?
Just
I
standing outside
don't.
of preschools.
Right?
That's not creepy, Natalie.
No, not at all. No. Let me just sit here and write down what you're saying and take it back later and put it into a book. No, I don't have kids in my life. I don't have any children of my own. So I spend a lot of time on TikTok,
Ooh,
like watching TikToks, listening to TikToks, like seeing what kids are talking about. And I religiously watch like the Disney Channel and Nickelodeon and things like that to kind of like pick up on what are they reading? What are they like what do they care about? I read like teen magazines like Girls Life to try to figure out what celebrities kids that age are into
oh
so
yeah.
that I can like go do my own research and see who they like. But it's like a full-time job, I feel like, trying to keep up with the ever-changing landscape of what kids and teens are into.
It's almost
Oh,
like you're living a double life.
Yes,
oh
it
my
You're
gosh.
like
is.
you're like
Yeah,
by night I'm Jess, but by day I'm a 12-year-old.
right? It's
Well,
true.
I have to tell you guys, so I went to an eighth grade dance last night.
Ooh.
Yeah. And if I'd known Jess, I would have taken some video and given you some private fodder here because what I found the most interesting was the parents and the children were supposed to be on opposite ends, like with tables, but they were all integrated. Like everybody just chose to sit kind of randomly, right? Which was interesting. But the music that I really thought they wouldn't be into, like from my generation, was the music they loved. And then songs
Mm-hmm.
that are popular now, I really liked, and they weren't dancing, or like they weren't dance worthy songs. It was very interesting people watching last night, I'll be honest.
Yeah, something that's really been interesting to me, I feel like about a lot of kids in this generation right now, they want cell phones that aren't smartphones. They want those old flip phones that we had, like our first phones back in the day. They don't want social media on their phones. They might even have two phones. One is their smartphone, and the other is their dumb phone that they just use. And they like, yeah, like old music and old cameras and scrunchies. all this shit that we tried to like, ooh, leave that in our past. Now they want it all.
I
Oh
have
my
gone
God, do
back
they
to
call it
scrunchies.
retro? Because I'll
Yeah,
probably
they do.
strangle myself.
I love that. I'm excited. I'm excited for the retro generation. This sounds good to me.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just sad
really
I got rid
funny.
of all of that stuff.
Yeah, right.
You can still buy scrunchies. See,
Oh
I
yeah.
bought a whole packet of them at Walgreens. They're great. They're so much nicer than rubber bands. I don't know why we ever stopped using them.
Well, and the satin ones are nice too because they don't break your hair.
But they
Ooh.
slip out.
Yeah, but I have curly hair mostly, so that doesn't seem to matter. But no, it was really interesting people watching last night because, what I've noticed, and you guys could tell me what your opinions are, but a lot of the kids when they get together, right, they've got this pack mentality. And so it's the us versus them. But I've noticed the parents do the same thing. Like I don't think they've
Mm-hmm.
outgrown it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that's
Yeah.
probably human nature, right? Like, ego plays a huge role in everything we do.
Especially your ego, Natalie.
Ego plays a major role in every single thing that I do or think or say. Is that good enough for you, Heather?
Hey, samesies. This week I had a client and I showed up and I was working doing a saddle fit. And at the end, she came up to me and she handed me a copy of my book that I did not know she had. And she asked me to sign it. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm fucking famous." Like, woo!
I love that.
Yeah, ego, it stroked my ego big time.
I think every week we should kind of open with our whatever our new favorite recognition story is, because I actually have one as well, which is,
Oh.
this past weekend I volunteered at the Majestic Oaks Horse Trials, and I walked into the almost empty show office area to check in, and somebody's shouting from behind me, Natalie, Natalie. And I'm like, well, no one knows I'm here, so that's not a thing. And he says, Natalie. And I turn around like, what? And it's the course designer. He recognized me from behind. Like, how? And then
I could
I
tell
walked
you.
out to do the dressage check-in, and the other worker and I are chatting, and then she says, "Oh, you're that Natalie. I'm reading your book Ambition right now." And I was like, "What?" So that's my
Mind
new
blown.
favorite.
Oh,
Amazing.
I'm enjoying living in Ocala.
that's pretty great.
Jess, has that ever happened to you? I'm sure it has with your 80 bazillion jillion books.
It has, and it's kids who come to like see me at like the best one was at Briarfest, and I went a few years ago, and I was just walking to my hotel room
Mm.
after the day. I was gross and sweaty and tired, as you are after Briarfest, and this little girl walked by me, and I felt her kind of like stop, and then I heard her gasp a little bit, and I turned back and she just started bawling, sobbing. And it turns out she wanted to know if I was more of a Heather, aka my meanest mean girl in the book, or if I was more like Sasha. Because if I was like Heather, she didn't want to talk to me by herself. She wanted to go get her mom. But if I was cool like Sasha, then we could talk and hang out. And she wanted to like come see my hotel room and chill with me.
Oh my
And
God.
like it was so funny. It's just so funny. Like the kids are afraid of me because I write a lot of these mean girl characters. So they want to be like, you're not like them, are you? But where do you get that shit from? You know?
Yeah. Well, for the record, not all Heathers are bad.
This is
Wow.
true. This is true.
No, they are. No. So one, I would need to write for children now because that's amazing. I want to frighten them. And two, so I'm going to Briarfest this summer, and
Oh.
I am super. What I really want to do is go to the hotel where all the weird back alley Briar models
Oh
are sold.
my
That's like
God. It's
my main
wild.
goal for the entire year. Have you
Have
been?
you ever, yes, have you been in the, okay, so
I
you've never
haven't.
been.
I've stayed at that hotel, so
I've
I know how
never been.
weird it is. It's all like different levels and weirdness.
Yes.
But I haven't been for the Black Market Briarfest, which is what I want. Did you
The
know about this, Heather?
windows are, yeah. Have you heard about this, Heather?
I
Because
am
It's like
so
the
confused and
Briarfest
intrigued at the same time.
offsite annex where all the private sellers stay at this one weird hotel that used to be a Holiday Inn Holidome.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be like psychotic.
So like in the Facebook groups, they send out like, I'm going to be in room whatever, I'll be in room 202. I have like a blackout curtain up. They'll have a list taped to the door of the stock that they have, things that they want to trade for. They'll have displays in their hotel room windows being like, whatever seller is right here, come see me. Some doors are open, some doors are closed. Some are only like taking people who have called ahead, like private clients to come in. It's the weirdest shit ever, but it's so much fun.
What the actual fuck? This is like sex trafficking, but like legal and horse.
But with plastic horses. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
There's like money changing hands under tables. Like, it's wild.
I wonder if they like Breyer has actually ever like tried to do a sting or something like that to like.
I think they run shuttles back and forth.
No shit.
I think so too.
Because it's like the host hotel.
Yes.
So I'm just sad I'm not staying there. I'm staying in downtown Lex this time around, but I do like that hotel, and it is very convenient to the horse park. And yes, Black Market Breyer Fest.
Yeah.
I'm infiltrating.
But like the customs that people come with and make are insane. They're so freaking cool. I would never come up with half of the ideas that they come up with for painting, and like, they're so cool.
So have you ever run into like some psycho moms in this where they're like, absolutely not, this is mine and you can't have it, like knockdown, throwdown fights?
Oh yeah, I feel like it's the same kind of mentality like there are at a lot of Staples with some parents. Like, they become these show moms, and so it kind of becomes their thing, and they're under the guise of, I'm getting this for my child. No, you're not. You're getting it for yourself. Like, they're there trying to collect like the Beanie Babies, essentially, you know?
This feels like a novel.
It could be.
Yeah. Do you want
like a murder mystery though?
I feel like this might be my first foray into mystery, like noir Breyer.
That would be amazing.
Custom murder.
Well, and then it would have to turn out like it would have to be like some kid ended up perpetrating the crime because they saw their mother acting out and thought it was okay,
right,
or something like that, and then they had like zero, remorse at all because that's just what we do.
But like, I've had. Oh, go ahead, Natalie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say there's this new like traditional published book coming out, right, called Girls and Their Horses, and it's supposed to be about like cutthroat show jumping moms, but make it Breyers. Cutthroat Breyer moms perpetrating all sorts of crimes to have the best customs.
That book is so fun, by the way. I've blurbed it.
Yeah.
And it is wildly entertaining.
I'm going to read it once I get past the cover. The cover's really painful to look at.
It is, and I feel so bad for her because it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And even if the horse was right, the cover would still be hideous. It's just dreadful, but such is life. It is the right color. I mean, if we're talking fuchsia and adulting with horses, they did sort of match our color scheme. But yeah, cool. I'm glad you blurbed it. And you were going to say something and I totally cut you off.
No. I was actually I do, which is rare these days. But I ran into, because I've been to Breyerfest a couple of times, and not the last time, but the time before that, I got screamed at by a mom. Like, over my career, I've been approached a few times by pissed off parents because of what I write, so that's fun. But I got screamed at by a mom who didn't know that I would be there. Her daughter apparently has been reading my books, like, at school. She hasn't wanted her to read them because the girls are too mean and they do awful things. And she cursed me out and asked me why I couldn't write about nice girls who are doing good things.
Through the swears.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the mom is like the perfect example of a mean girl.
Yes. Yeah. So that's always fun.
Does that happen often?
It's happened. I mean, I get nasty emails from parents all of the time.
Really?
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't look at my Amazon reviews anymore, but if you do happen to take a look at them, there are nasty ones there from parents being like, I don't want my daughter reading this. This main character told a lie. Well, she's 12. Huh. They do lie. She paid for it later.
At 12.
Right? Yeah.
It is incredible. Like, people will occasionally object to swearing in my books, and that's, like I said, that's why I kind of started taking them out by like book 5 of the Eventing series. There's a damn every now and then. I think if I use a swear, it really counts.
Mhm.
And sometimes moms will really be like, I try to teach my daughter that if you have to swear, then it didn't, it didn't need to be said, or it's a sign that you don't have a good vocabulary, blah, blah. And I'm like, have you ever heard your daughter talk not with you, like, or been in
Yeah.
any barn? I learned to swear at the barn.
Mhm.
That was where it came from. So it is funny when they pick on something and you're just like, you have no idea what a child's life is like at all.
No.
How did you forget what being a child was like?
And
Well,
especially since
I'm. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jess.
no, go for it.
I was gonna say I'm probably the reason a lot of kids curse because sometimes I'm at the barn and I forget there are kids there,
Mm.
Well,
and
yeah,
so
I
sometimes
mean,
Yeah.
part of being a barn kid is being treated like everybody's like the same age when they're at the barn.
Yes.
That's like a huge piece of how we mature, is
Mhm.
that the 12-year-olds and the 40-year-olds are in the same space, in the same riding lessons, having lunch together, going to shows. Like, we're all equal. Our age equals us out, right? We've talked about that
Mhm.
before. So yeah, we're going to talk like adults. That's who we hang out with.
Yeah, and I think
yeah,
especially in my books, I'm writing for kids, and the mean girls are villains. And that's what something I wish parents would kind of like I'm not signing off on their behavior being like, "Oh, you should be like this Heather character who's awful and horrible and a bully."
again,
I'm
not me.
right.
FYI.
Yes, not this Heather. Another Heather.
This would all
Heather's like,
only
"Oh,
apply to
fuck."
me, which is so
Right.
funny. Yeah, no, that's hilarious that they're going after you for what the enemy is doing.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
dear Walt
because they
Disney,
obviously haven't read the
Maleficent is too
book.
scary as an evil
Right.
witch. Like something bad should happen to her. Yeah, she dies.
Right.
Is that good enough?
You're my next inspiration. Thanks.
Oh, and if
That's
only
terrible.
if only the moms of the mean kids knew what they were doing at the barn. They'd be handing them your books like, hey, this is what happens to bad barn girls.
Right. That is the truth.
Well, it's tough because there's cliques everywhere, right? And so the school has cliques, the barn has cliques, and sometimes those overlap. Like
Yeah.
there's a couple of girls that are at my barn that go to my daughter's school and are in her grade, and so sometimes there's crossover. And if there's a problem at the school, I don't want to hear about it at the barn, right?
Right.
Like that's absolutely inappropriate to be just going around talking about it. And I always say I try to stay out of things. But at the end of the day, like I think the people who perpetuate it are the ones that are causing the problems. So I just try to stay out of it and then listen to other people's issues.
Yeah, the whole I remember the cliques at the school versus the barn. Like it was weird. It's weird because when you go to school with a decent number of other kids that ride, which I did in Florida, then the barn politics transcends school politics. Like the barn politics is more important.
Because it's real life.
Yeah, exactly. School is not real. The barn is real. Your horse is real. Your lessons, all of that matters. And so somebody who you might ordinarily be cool with at school, maybe they're boarding at an enemy barn. And yes, when I was a child, we had enemy barns. I don't know if that was a hunter thing or what.
Nemesis.
I remember a lot of weird stuff that was like, oh, she was at the other barn, or he was talking to someone else's barn about our barn. Like that happened a lot when I was a kid.
Or what
And
about at the same barn where you have they're at the upper barn and we're at the lower barn
oh
and
my
the two
God, the upper barn,
barns.
lower barn thing. Oh, that hit me so hard when I was a teenager. Oh, I was in the lower barn because that was where the cool kids were, but my horse hated the lower barn and he would
Oh.
jump out and go back to the upper barn. But I was like, all the
He
snotty
didn't want
kids
to
are
be
in the upper
cool.
barn. He didn't. I wanted to be like underground and edgy, and he wanted to be in the upper barn with all of the like special wealthy people that could afford
Posh.
upper barn. Yeah, the posh barn. It all ended so badly at a horse trials where he just completely lost his mind, and then we had a long journey with white line disease. It was complicated, but it did start out with upper lower barn trauma. I forgot about that. I only remember things when people remind me of them. Otherwise, it's like my life never happened.
I feel that though. I
Yeah.
had the exact opposite as a kid. I was the only one in my school who rode horses. Well, in my grade anyway, that I knew of.
Huh.
So I was the weird horse girl. And the girls at school didn't want to talk to me because I would show up half the time in breeches and paddock boots because I wanted to go to the barn right after school.
Right.
And so I was weird.
Well,
I celebrate that for you because I was the
Thank
same.
you. Thank
I
you.
was one of many at my school because I went to a magnet school that pulled in, like in middle school, that was when I was riding really hard in Florida, and it pulled in like all of these different gifted programs, blah, 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 gifted or whatever. And it seems like a lot of honors-esque students also ride, or vice versa. And yet I was the weird one amongst the horse girls. I was still the one that everybody,
Why?
Your personality.
my personality wasn't great. It's there's a lot of reasons why I was weird. The cult was part of it. That whole like, oops, I'm in a cult, and then there was
Yeah, Jess, that's another story.
an inability to
God.
dress myself. That was not. It was not great. I usually looked ridiculous, and I had no interest in clothes, so that didn't help. And the boots. It was Florida,
Yeah.
right? Well, you were
Yeah.
in Florida too, but
I was. Yeah.
maybe you missed the chaps and shorts generation. I'm not sure. That
I
might have been
did.
slightly before you. So, yeah, there was a period of time where you wore paddock boots, shorts to the barn, and then you put on chaps over them. And if you can imagine wearing paddock boots and shorts to school, not a great look. I did
Yeah.
it. I did it regularly. I did not care, but I did care that I received very weird treatment.
Well, so I think we can all establish at this point that the three of us were all kind of outsiders in our way for whatever reason,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
We were the
Definitely.
weird horse girls or the weird girls. Um, but I got to be honest, and this is really tough for me to admit, and I've grown from this, okay? When I was in middle school, I wasn't the nicest. Like, I made some mistakes
Right.
and maybe under peer pressure. I never actively bullied anyone, but I did some things that I'm not proud of. And then in high school, I kind of felt like I moved on from that. But um, I never wanted to be the mean girl. But I think in middle school, I might have been, you know? So, I mean, I
I
wasn't a
get that.
villain,
Mhm.
but I
Yeah.
was an asshole.
Yeah. I think clicks and definite insecurity led me to be less than nice at the barn. Even if at school I didn't have that level of confidence where I could be a mean girl, I'm sure at the barn I made some bad choices when interacting with other people. And I was insecure. I
Yeah.
always felt like the person who came second in every relationship. I
Hmm.
was, now you'd say always the bridesmaid, never the bride, but I was never the best friend. I was always the second best friend. And
You're
that
my
means a
best
lot in middle
friend.
school.
Sure.
And I
Yeah.
think I'm used to that now. I get it. But when, I was 12, it sucked. And
Mhm.
it definitely affected the way I interacted with people because I was super insecure about it.
Well, I think that's what it is. I think it's the age range where, and even some people don't grow out of it. I think it's a level of insecurity that creates this meanness.
Yeah. I that's got to be what it is.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe coupled
which is
with
why,
indulgence.
yeah. I mean, it's just why I can kind of try to step back from it now because I'm a different person than I was then, and I might get frustrated when I see other people being mean, and I might step in, but I don't want to be part of the drama. Like I don't want to be creating any of that.
Right. Right. Yeah. Like if you took it online, I'm a chronic tweet deleter. I'll tweet something because I'm absolutely furious, and then I'll delete it because I don't want to get involved. I just,
Yeah.
You
I'm too
set a fire
tired to
and then
get
walk
involved.
away.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I throw the grenade, I walk away, and then I scurry back, disarm it, and leave.
You do that in your books too, don't you?
No, in the books, I let it blow up. That's what gets me to the next chapter. So.
Known for its Performax leather technology, Fitz riding wear is the first and only choice for thousands of equestrian athletes. The Fitz design team are themselves riders with years of state-of-the-art athletic product development experience. All Fitz designs are born out of repeated trial and unmatched commitment to quality. Fitz is proud to have raised the bar for technical innovation in equestrian wear. We invite you to wear Fitz for the ride of your life. Learn more at fitzriding.com. And so, as we're talking about mean girls, right? And we find them everywhere in school, at the barn. And as I admitted, I had my moment, Again, not the inspiration for Jess's books. FYI.
There's only one Heather in town.
Right. Well,
And it's the mean one.
flashback to the 90s, the movie Heathers. I mean, we were the
Oh.
original Karens, just saying.
Yeah.
That's true.
That was a hell of a
But
movie.
I think a lot of us have had experience with mean girls. And so we reached out to the Clubhouse members and we said, hey, are you the mean girl or do you have stories? And oh boy, did they share stories.
I am seeing so many stories here. Wow.
Yeah, so who wants to start? Like, we'll go through and read some of these. Natalie, you want to take it
You wanna
off?
go?
Yeah, I can kick it off. I'll just go straight from the top here with Chelsea, because, yeah, I get this one. Chelsea says, my barn bestie has admitted that when she first met me, she thought I was the barn mean girl. Mostly because of my resting bitch face, me being very antisocial, and the annoyed look I got on my face when somebody spoke to me.
That'd
Yes,
do it.
Chelsea. Yes. So relatable.
Oh, it's
Ooh.
so relatable. Lisa has one that says, I don't look my age, and therefore often people don't believe me when I say I have over 40 years experience. So I tend to get the girls that have a few years of experience trying to correct me or tell me what to do in a condescending way. I'm sure they felt that I was the barn mean girl because I no longer take crap from anyone and I just speak up. I love that about her, actually.
Yes. Oh, wow. So Lucy says, I was a working student at a small lesson and show barn. The owner's daughter refused to teach anyone who wasn't a boarder with a show budget. So her mother would sneak me out to the field behind the barn for jumping lessons on her field hunter, the one banned from lessons after he jumped out of the ring with a student. Wow.
I've had to sneak around to get lessons before, but
Yeah.
it's funny to me that it's the mother of the mean girl that's helping her out.
That's pretty great.
Like, she has no control whatsoever over her daughter. She's just like, my daughter's a bitch. Come over here and you can ride
Yeah.
with me.
Well, and I love too, it's like the wild horse. It's like, oh, this horse isn't fit for the ring. So like, shh, come on over here. You
Right.
can do it.
Well, she was riding him in the field. He didn't like the ring, so.
Yeah, but apparently he liked the field a little too much, if you get my drift. But that's why Lucy has loads of stories, I'm sure.
Yeah, she does.
That's awesome.
She's the best at it.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced sneaking around to get lessons from somebody that's cheaper or something like that. And like doing the whole ride and then getting yelled at by the barn owner and just being like, well, the ride happened and riding
Yeah.
away.
Whoops,
That was
I fell on
deep.
the saddle. Sorry.
Yeah. I did like a whole jumping lesson on this course that I wasn't allowed to use. And I was like, oh, well, I couldn't afford you. Bye.
See, I was even worse because as a little kid, like 7 or 8, before I had even taken my first riding lesson, I moved to this place in Tennessee that had a boarding stable behind my house. And I just thought, I'll just walk out to this pasture, duck under the fence, and just get on any horse in this field that I want. So I was regularly hopping on the backs of boarders' horses and just
Oh.
riding them. And then the owner found out, and it was a whole thing. Like,
That feels like something that would happen in books you would read when you were a kid, and then you would be like, the first chance I get, that's what I'm gonna do.
right.
Because there was a barn near me before I started riding. I would ride my bike over and look at the horses and just kind
Yeah.
of think like, what time of night would I have to get here?
Mhm. Yes.
Actually, so as an adult, I went on this trip to Arizona a couple years ago with my girlfriends, and they got real drunk and decided it'd be a good idea to hop the fence of this guest ranch and just start riding bareback the draft horses. So
Oh
I didn't do that because I can't mount from the ground, especially a draft horse. And I thought that was supremely dangerous, but I'm also like the rule follower. So wasn't that
I'm
drunk.
a rule follower too because I'm like horrified at the idea of getting in trouble. I know it doesn't make sense with my personality at all, but I have a weird personality.
No, my
So
confrontation literally makes me sweat. Like I don't like
exactly,
it.
that's what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
I don't like people being mad at me.
hmm Yeah, I can't
I don't
handle
either, except when it came to horses. I was like, I will do whatever I have to do to get on this horse. And I didn't care as a kid.
it.
That's awesome,
Now it's
actually.
horrifying. That makes me want to throw up just imagining, you
Yeah,
know.
completely. Like, let's go
Well,
get on horses. No,
Right.
yeah,
no,
there's kids
no, we
at
No.
our
won't.
barn that like lease the house on our barn property, and if any one of those kids ended up trying to get on my horse, they would probably die. Like he would not do well with that situation. So that's terrifying to think about.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God. All right, Natalie, you're up next.
I've been looking at Kelby has a really long story here. It's very impressive. And just glancing through it, this she was at a situation when she was a teenager where she went to a horse show and somebody somebody chose to tie her horse to the back door of a trailer which has significant safety issues. And everybody was defending her like it's her horse and she can tie it wherever she wants, which is a very teenager thing to say. So poor Kelby's like, oh my God, no, and goes to untie the horse so that she doesn't, die. And the girl who owned the horse slapped Kelby, slapped her.
Ugh.
Can you?
Ooh.
I
You don't
mean,
put hands on people
right?
ever.
Yeah.
Do you know I put a slap into a draft I was working on, and somebody read it, and she emailed me immediately, and she was like, "You cannot have any physical behavior in this book," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I took
She
it
just
out.
she just met like figuratively slapped you down.
Yeah, I couldn't even put it in fiction, but this girl straight up slapped poor Kelby for not letting her leave her horse tied to a trailer door.
See,
Well,
I don't
I
know what
tried to.
my reaction would have been to that. Like, I don't know, would I have punched her in the face? Like, I don't know.
I think you would
Just
have
reaction
because your New Jersey comes out. Although you were
does.
17, I don't know. You have a complicated background just like me. I never really know where you're from. But
Nobody
you
does.
have thrown, so it is possible you would have done it then too.
I do have a taser, so I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
she was totally right, honestly, because that girl, if I was that kid's mom, oh no.
Well, yeah,
Um,
and you can't walk away from a horse in a dangerous situation because of
right.
ignorance, especially if it's your barn. Like that's gonna affect you.
Well, and not to turn things around and make it about me, which I love to do, but a couple years ago I was moving Ferris to a new barn, and I was trailering him and his best friend, who was his paddock mate, and before I could even stop the trailer, the girl who owned the paddock mate came in and opened the back of the trailer, right, without me being there, and I reacted because my buddy is not a good loader, and he backs up quickly, right? And so it's a safety issue. Like she could have been trampled
Right.
and he could have been hurt. Like there could have been so many things that wrong. And I came out of basically of the truck yelling like, "Don't do that. Like what are you doing?" And then I felt really bad because I just screamed in this girl's face. And I apologized and I was like, "Listen, I'm so sorry. Like that was really scary. I do not want you to get hurt, but like that wasn't right of me." But at the same time, I'm like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
It's a high pressure environment all of the time, whether we want to think about that or not, and it's always a dangerous environment. There's always the element of we could get hurt, our horse could get hurt, our horse could hurt someone else. So I think I would have reacted probably the same way, just being under that stress and that anxiety of, shit, this person could have gotten seriously injured, or my horse could have gotten hurt. Like, it's very easy, I think, sometimes to go from a 0 to 100 just because there are so many huge factors at play all the time.
Yeah, I felt so bad about it though. I
That's
I mean her face was shocked because I don't normally yell at people,
Yeah.
but I
but
was oh yeah.
I mean,
I-
Jess makes such an excellent point there that I
yeah.
don't think that we talk about very often because we're like our horses relax us and those horses make
Mhm.
us who we are. But you're right. We are scanning for danger 100% of the time whenever we're with our horses is that in like an inherently crazy stress environment that we just internalize all that stress all the time, and then it just explodes out of us from time
I
to
think,
That
time.
is how I roll. Yes,
yeah,
that's
I,
exactly
yeah,
how I roll.
I think we do because we love it so much and it's the best thing in the world. And we get kind of numb, sort of, to that danger, like scary zone pressure that's on
Yeah.
us. But then when something does happen, kind of like all hell breaks loose for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you just snap.
Hmm.
Huh. Never really thought of
Yeah.
it that way. That's intense.
That's a really good point, and it does make me feel better about a situation I felt really bad about. But at the same time, she was such a green horse owner, and I was new to trailering too, and oh, it was just a bad situation. Fun fact: he ended up getting a hernia after that,
Oh.
Oh,
because of the stress and the ulcers. So like, but he didn't kill her, so yay. Uh,
but think about it.
so
Like, Heather, if this girl had, let's say, I don't know, tried to feed your horse a carrot in his stall, yes, that would have been dumb, but would it have been dangerous? No, you wouldn't have yelled at her. This
right.
was dangerous, and all of your sensors just went pow.
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
And she was standing directly behind the trailer door as she was opening it, right? Like
God.
directly behind. So if he had backed into that, the door would have smacked her in the face, knocked her over, and she would have been trampled. Like it was terrible.
Yeah.
He
Sometimes
was
green
really, really bad.
adults are actually scarier than green children, aren't they? Because
Mhm.
they're less inhibited. Like a 12-year-old would not have run up and opened the trailer door. But an
Mhm.
adult is like, I'll be helpful, and
Right.
does something really dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
With love to our green adults. But it is an
yeah.
observation that I have had in the past as well.
Well, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the intent was obviously to help,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And so that's why she didn't deserve, necessarily me screaming in her face. However, I also didn't want her to die.
Yeah.
So
Right.
there was that thing, and we've squashed it, since then. But speaking of adult and green, Victoria actually has written this very long comment, which is a really nice story. And she just got back. She just got into writing for the first time ever, and she was feeling really confident and really in control and feeling her horse really well. And then apparently what happened was there was a girl standing at the fence, like giggling and talking to her friend about how unless you're young and know what you're doing, you should stay out of the saddle. So this teen girl is sitting there publicly humiliating this woman who's learning to ride for the first time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. Yep.
Ew.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager at my big crazy eventing barn I've told you about before that was basically run by teens, we had a thing called peanut gallery, and that was whenever somebody new showed up to ride, we all sat on the picnic tables next to the arena and we watched. Like, very obviously it was like, oh, the new person's going to ride, and 25 teenagers would go out, pile up on the picnic tables
Oh my
to watch the
God.
ride. We all did. They did it to me when I arrived. That was how I found out about Peanut Gallery, and we all did it. And I kind of used that when I wrote Grabbing Maine about riding, an adult riding at a teen barn. And I remember we would sometimes, we would get the newer adult riders, and you just kind of whisper a little bit like, oh, if she just needs to bring in her toe. Like, we would turn into like Reiner Klimke. Like, we knew everything there was to know about equitation.
Mini trainers with
Yeah, it was great. We loved it. I hate to say, but I don't know if we were mean. I don't remember being mean in Peanut Gallery, but it was a huge part of that boarding
well, that
barn.
could be intimidating, I think, for somebody.
100%.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
always ride worse when people are watching me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
No one sees me ride, but probably.
No, it happens. And literally, it might have been like, what, it was a couple weeks ago for the first time, maybe in years, I asked my trainer to take a video because I felt pretty confident. But generally speaking, like, no one knows I was even there.
Yeah.
You're like the
Jess, do you
stealth
want to read
rider.
Carrie's comment?
Sorry?
Do you want to read Carrie's Clubhouse comment?
Oh,
Or did we already do that one?
Carrie.
I gotta.
Oh, Carrie's is actually more about a crazy person. than a mean girl.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we could do a whole nother episode just about the crazy people, and this one's
True.
about baling twine, where she says my horse was in her paddock and we were hanging out when this crazy woman comes up to me clutching a few pieces of baling twine, screaming, "Did you leave this baling twine on the ground?" Mind you, I don't work there or do chores or move hay, and I've only met this woman in passing maybe twice. She proceeded to go off on me and my boyfriend about how dangerous it was, and we were never to do it again. Okay.
I would never want to be at that barn.
Mm-mm.
There's
Yeah.
one of these in Florida. There's one of these at every barn, so I don't know if you ever want to board here.
I'm good. Florida might be too much for me.
That might be the majority in Florida. It's the sun.
Yes. And among other things, but the sun, yes.
Yeah, among other things. Listen, it's a hard life.
We'll go with that. Sure.
Oh, wow. I'm looking at this story from Nicole, and she is talking about how one night one of the girls was convinced that someone took her hat, and she went backstage, accused everyone, screaming, cursing, and said somebody had taken her hat, and it just ruined everything that night, like being verbally abused by someone. And I feel like that's not like common, but that's a story I've told before in my books.
Mhm.
Like girls accusing each other of taking this thing at the stable and it blowing up, and then them finding it, behind a cabinet or in the back of their locker or somewhere where they've misplaced it.
I've been
Like,
at barns where that's like the primary form of communication between girls. It's just them accusing one another of stealing things.
yes,
You're absolutely right.
yeah.
I lose my stuff all the time, so I never blame anyone. I literally just say, "Has anyone seen my shit?" Okay, because I don't know what I did with it. So if anyone just sees it, and I've taken to actually putting an F or a D on certain products that I use a lot, and that I know will go missing because I just left it at the wash stall.
Well, I've gotten into now like this really mind fuckery of these girls in one of my new books. Uh, one of her lockets goes missing, and she's sure that maybe she did lose it, and they're convincing her that she did, and it's her fault. Turns out they did take it. And like they've been gaslighting her this entire time. So I know parents are going to love me for this storyline so much.
That sounds excellent.
You're
Yeah,
gonna get some hate mail. You're gonna get bullied.
I know. I am.
Oh.
So this one we have from Jill. Her dad bought her first horse, and then he passed away. And she had to basically work so hard in order to afford this animal, and she had to ride him to the shows because she couldn't afford a trailer or any trailering services. And the kids used to make fun of her for like her hand-me-down thrift store show clothes. And then the best part is she took all the ribbons. So
Oh, yes.
that's the best revenge, right?
That is.
You
I
know,
feel like there's a lot of elitism
yeah.
in the barn world, in the stable world, and about like trying to have the best but not being able to afford the best, and the people with the best making you feel like shit for not having it.
There's more than one story here about rubber boots. Just
I had them.
I had them. Yep.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yep.
Actually, fun fact, I had them from when I was a teenager and then quit riding for like 17 years. My first lesson back, I put on those damn rubber boots and my velvet helmet, and I went to my lesson as a 31-year-old adult, and everyone laughed. And the next day, I ended up buying new boots. So they were like, "Oh my God, they haven't made these in decades." And I was like, "Well, I haven't ridden in decades, bitch. Sorry."
I was enormously proud of my helmet I started when I was 10, and I had rubber boots and beige nylon breeches that were, cheap as chips, but I had a glorious new velvet helmet. They didn't skimp on my head. And it was like, they used to call it the mushroom style. It was when they first made them ASTM helmets. They were super huge. I looked ridiculous in it, but I look ridiculous in all helmets.
Yeah,
And
I
I
don't
was
like mine
just
either.
like, you know what, bitches? At least I've got this awesome velvet helmet.
And you know, velvet helmets are coming back.
I want one of those
Oh, are
brown
they?
Charles Owen velvet helmets more than anything. I don't know why. I hated brown when I was a kid. Now I want it.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. They look so good.
I didn't know Velvet was coming back. That's exciting.
Velvet's back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
I have a couple of friends who do fox hunting, and you can wear you can wear different colors, and so there's a navy. There was like a dark like a eggplant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
ooh,
It's
Oh,
getting sexy. I know. It's
ooh.
it's it's a real thing.
it really
Well, I
is.
think we can all agree that loads of us have mean girl stories, and I think at the end of the day, we just probably hope that we're not the mean girls and try our best to not become the mean girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Bluegrass Animal Products Equiotic is a live daily probiotic supplement for your horse. Equiotic is the only probiotic sourced from horses' good gut bacteria. This allows the good bacteria to survive in the GI tract.
Veterinarian developed and recommended, Equiotic is trusted by horse professionals to keep their horses feeling their best. From the top competition horse to a backyard companion, Equiotic can help to keep your horse's sensitive GI tract feeling good.
To learn more and order Equiotic today, go to bluegrassanimalproducts.com and use the coupon code HRN for 15% off Equiotic packets and paste. Equiotic is also available at many retailers, including SmartPack and Chewy, but the coupon code HRN is only available at bluegrassanimalproducts.com.
Let's talk adulting wins of the week, guys.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Who wants to go first? Who
I
doesn't have
can
to
go
think
first
about it?
because mine happened today. So,
Yay, Jess, go
yeah.
first.
Yeah, I turned in my first draft of Saddle Hill 4 to my editors today. So, I am officially finished with my contract for Saddle Hill.
Oh my God,
Amazing.
congrats.
Thank you.
That is
Wow. You know, people
huge.
like to say I write fast, but you're a writing machine once you get rolling. Like,
Yes. Yeah, I am now. I mean, after I took that break, it was a sentence a week was
right.
really all I could get out. But now I am back at my old writing speed and it feels really good.
That is
That's awesome.
fantastic.
Sometimes it's necessary to take a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am on a writing break right now, which means that I'm only writing when I feel like it and what I feel like instead of working on
Good.
something towards a deadline. Uh, so I don't know if it's a win, but I'm gonna take it that I started something completely new yesterday
Ooh.
and have written like
On your
4,000 words on
vacation?
it. Huh?
On your vacation, you
Yeah.
started something new?
Yeah, well, I have like a whole bunch of others, like probably 6 other projects that I should be working on. I started something 100% new because I said I don't have anything due, and I woke up excited about this. And I laid in bed and sort of wrote an outline for it on Evernote. And then I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to go start writing it. And I'm on chapter 3. So
I love that. That is a win.
That is a win.
nothing like
Yeah.
making extra work for yourself whilst on vacation and calling it a win.
Well, I would love to have a vacation because I am so swamped right now. Like, I told my husband that I have to set aside like 2 weeks in June to just disappear in Vermont and just finish my book because
Yeah.
my deadline's in July. Um, so that's something would like to do. If that becomes a win, that would be wonderful. But my win of the week was um, Westminster Agility Finals was so happy with my job that I did for them and their dogs that they've invited me to be back next year and hopefully in future.
Of course they did.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. 5 of the dogs I worked on made it to finals and one won All-American.
That's so
So
cool.
Holy shit. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it was
That's
fucking
so cool.
awesome. It was
Yeah,
so
it
fucking
is.
awesome.
Yeah.
So it wasn't horsey, but that's okay.
Dogs and
Yeah.
horses, they're related.
Oh,
They are.
actually, I'm going to add, because Ferris is now off of his meds, and he's starting to look like he's got muscle again. Like he looks like he's coming out of this horrendous last 3 months. So that's a big
great.
win for Ferris.
Yay, Ferris.
Good for him.
Wow. I guess we all had wins.
We did.
I'm very proud of us. Now
Go us.
Now that we have worked our way through how incredibly mean people are and how entertaining we find it from a distance, we want to read more of these mean girls. Jessica, tell us where we can read about all of these mean girls that you have sort of invented, sort of taken for real life, I'm sure.
And how we can find you.
So. Oh, well, I have a brand new series, Saddle Hill Academy, coming out on May 30th. It's a spinoff of my 20-book Canterwood Cross series. It's been 10 years, and I am back in the horse writing sphere. And you can find all my books on my website, which is jessicaburkhart.com.
Sounds perfect.
That's
All right.
awesome.
Looking forward to checking out your new series. Looks awesome.
Thank you so much.
I need to check out this Heather character and see if she was inspired by me. I'm just saying, like,
You do. I think you do.
I need to check her out.
She wears like really awesome coats with like native patterns and
If she has a sense of style and some flair that she likes to throw in there, I'm gonna.
She does. This is true.
and she comes
There
to a
you
bad
go. Look
end.
at that. That's awesome. Well, Jess, thank you so much for coming on and co-hosting with us. It's been a blast to talk about Mean Girls with someone who actually writes them.
Oh, it's been so much fun. Thank you both for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a little weird with us, Horse Girl. If you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your player of choice. Follow us on Instagram at Adulting with Horses Podcast, or even better, join our Adulting with Horses Clubhouse on Facebook, where you can become part of the show. Also, it's a great place to meet other horse crazy women.